So, we're going to talk a little bit about what the expectations of a practitioner look like from where we're standing. So, on a daily basis, we have three different grounding techniques: protection, gratitude, setting your intention, and also um, shifting into a different dimension and giving thanks there as well. Also, we do healing stuff inside the body, chakra cleansing and deeper. Um these things are non-negotiables. We do these every day like it's oxygen. We don't miss our rituals to keep us safe and heal our vessels. Also, divine law is what everything is. The eyes that you see through everything. So I've described divine law a little bit in one of my other videos. Also, we have a very good understanding that time does not exist. So we take our time. We don't rush ever to make decisions unless we're in like a hand-to-hand combat type of situation. And then you're going on instinct or whatever. But we always look at every single situation in a circle. Like, we circle our perspective and we look at it from every direction. And we might circle it 3, 4, 5 times. We might get perspectives from a different angle and question the way in which we are perceiving a situation before we make any type of like throwing a rock into a pond, a ripple. Before we make any type of energetic ripple, we want to be like accurate. The bow and arrow is a really good construct. This is like an 8-dimensional or 7-dimensional concept where the bow and arrow has 3 different parts. So the first one is you aim. That's your intention. Then you pull back like this. That's instinct. Because now you're aiming. Now we're going on instinct. And then release. That's the third part. So intention, instinct, and release. It's the same way you could use riding a horse for a similar alignment to the bow and arrow. It's sort of like the same concept. If you ride horses, you would understand what I'm trying to explain. But everything that we do in life, we want to try to use the bow and arrow to enact whatever we're deciding to do. Also, we have to be very careful who we are allowing into our energy and what we are submitting to. We have to have a very good understanding of what we are submitting to, and we have to look at that in a circle from every angle and figure out exactly what it represents. Does it align with our values, does it align with our understanding? And as you progress, you know, as we progress, we have more understanding. But in order for us to get the understanding at a higher level, we first have to mirror the lessons that we have already learned. So, like, let's just say, for instance, the lesson is having to do with boundaries. In order for us, we can know where the boundary needs to be all day long, but until we put that boundary in place and start acting on it on a daily basis and say, I will not accept this, or maybe your boundary is too far out and you're saying, let me pull this back a little bit so I can have things come into my life. Because some things, if you have your wall too high, won't be able to come in as well as go out. It goes push and pull both directions. So we have to really adjust our boundaries, and it's a polarity game when we're talking about boundaries, because if you put your boundary up too high, you got a problem. If it's too low, you got a problem. So once we start standing on business when it comes to the lessons that we've learned, and we start projecting them, then God will give us more understanding and more lessons on a different level. That's how we progress. I could sit here and talk about, let's say, racism, for instance. I could say all I want about, oh, why people are racist, and why did they do this and why do they do that, but that doesn't do anything. I have to literally step in and start speaking to my truth when I see these things in life. Because I'll tell you something right now. Like, it's like a fast. Say, for instance, you're on the street and you have nothing to eat, right? And you decide that you're going to want to fast so that you can get a better understanding, because fasting is a great way to get more understanding on what God has given you. So you could have nothing to eat and then decide, okay, you know what, I'm just going to fast because I want to get a better understanding. That day you decide to fast, everyone will want to give you food. The resistance will come up. As soon as you make a decision, as soon as we make a decision to do something, we hit the resistance. And that's with everything in life. And especially if it's something where it's going to better us. If it's going to better us, it's going to be a struggle. So, like, say racism, if I decide to take a stand on that, trust and believe God will start putting these experiences in my life to see if I will take a stand against them or not. And that goes with anything. So, really mirroring the things that we want to see in life is something we take very seriously. And it's basically a duty to humanity to do this. Because if we don't show everyone where the bar is at, then they're going to try to walk all over us. And I'll be damned if I became a warrior for God and went through all the stuff I went through to be a doormat. It's not happening. So we have to really express those boundaries and, stand on business when it comes to whatever we decide that God has given us for a lesson. Because once we get through that resistance and we balance our boundaries of where it is that we need to be, then God will put us on another level and will give us more understanding and more lessons on a different level. So another thing that we also do is everything we do is in love. Like, we don't want to act out of ego when we're doing anything. Even if we're destroying, it's destroying out of love. It's planting seeds out of love. Everything has to be out of love. We cannot have an inflated ego and be doing work for God. To a certain point, to your understanding. It has to be to your understanding. Whatever your understanding is what you express. Whatever God has given you is what you express. So for us, we're not allowed to claim titles. We're not allowed to claim any titles at all. Like, we've had to give up all of our worldly desires, so that we have nothing except for whatever tools God provides for us, and also our word. And when you have nothing of this plane, let me tell you something. Your word is way more powerful than if you have things of this plane. It dilutes how the strength of what our word is. So we don't claim titles. We don't do anything like that. Also, we are bound by divine law to protect ourselves and to use our swords, if need be, on anyone that tries to come in our energy and start playing around. That's another thing. We don't just stand there and let somebody come in and do things in our energy without paying, or if they try to come in, we have to put a stop to that immediately. Like that, they're not allowed to come over here and start challenging anything, because this is our sovereign energy. Another thing is, we have to really think about not only just our own selves, but humanity as a whole, and the planet as a whole. We have to also take that into consideration with the things that we do on a daily basis, and how we operate in love and respect for the planet and the entities that inhabit this planet. We look at from a very wide perspective when making even small decisions in our life, like we smoke cigarettes. So if we're outside, we take the cigarette butt and we put it in the trash can, so it's not contaminating the planet. Just anything we can do to help, we take it on our initiative, and spreading light all over the place, and we walk in the glory of God, and we talk in the glory of God. With everything we do is required, so that other entities can see where the bar is at, because the bar is in a bad place right now. Also, we want to set the bar high with our interactions with other entities, unless we're on a contract. Contracts have all their different aspects to them, but as far as just on a general basis, we don't want to take on a lot of negative entities, because other high vibrational entities don't want to deal with that weight. They don't want to deal with karmics. They don't want to deal with all of the chaos. They want a clean experience, and we want to give clean experiences to everyone is around us, and enlightening, uplifting experiences. We don't want heavy experiences, unless the people in the darkness, they're going to have their heavy experiences. But if you're on the climb, we try to limit our experiences to entities that are within similar rank or similar values, let's just say, that align with whatever we align with. Because then we have the law of attraction that's going to come in and start bringing abundance and high vibrational experiences. Another thing, I'm trying to think what else that we do on a daily basis. Oh, wait, yeah, make sure you eat your leafy greens. It cuts down on the 5G. Understanding and recognizing rank is very important. It's like life or death. And this is like intuition and experience to be able to pinpoint who's who, because you never know who's masked up and who's not, because there's a lot going on and people got different missions for doing good and bad, because even people in the darkness have contracts for the for the darkness, but they're completing their soul contract. So it could be a contract, for the darkness. We just really got to assess everything really good and circle it multiple times to make sure that, or we just get away from whatever. Like walking away is also a really good option, because some things aren't worth your time to put energy into and have to end up getting burnt and whatever. You give what you have. Don't try to overgive helping people, because you're just putting yourself in danger when you do that. So we also are very careful with like the level of information for the evolution of the entity, like being able to spot where they're at in the journey, and what things would be beneficial for them and what things would be like overloading for them, is also a important aspect of doing healing work and everything else. Also, boundaries. Listen, boundaries are a huge part of how efficient you are with your healing work. It's all connected. If you don't have boundaries, you're not going to be a great healer. You're going to be a crappy healer. So that's pretty much what we've got as far as expectations. And if we're not with working towards our kingdom spouse or with our twin flame, we're not throwing our sexual energy all over the place. Like, that is forbidden. Oh, also, we are forbidden from charging for spiritual gifts. Like, we can't do readings and get paid. We can't do healings and get paid. Like, that is strict forbid. Like, if we were to try to charge in for our wisdom or healing, that's sacrilege for us. We will be in so much trouble with God if we try to take a monetary exchange for any type of healing or teaching or anything like that. Is bad. God will remove in your gifts if you try to do that. That's why these people out here that are charging for certain things, we're allowed to accept an offering if the entity is so pleased with the service that you provided them, and they have an offering that they want to offer to you. It's good to accepting offerings depending on the situation. We have to also remember an offering is an exchange. So if the entity that's giving us the exchange is not on a good frequency or malicious intent, we don't want to accept an offering like that. Like, say an entity was like offering us something and we know like they're gonna try to like using that like against us, is that we don't accept that. We just do for love. We always do for love, period. But sometimes the entity is a good entity and they want to show in love to us and we accept. It has to be a love interaction in order for us to accept And we're not going to accept if the entity is like not having much. It's all, you got to gauge everything. You got to gauge everything. Because you don't want to be out of line with divine law. So you have to treat it as if it was yourself. But sometimes we have trouble accepting things because we're so used to doing everything by ourselves. So we have to practice. So when an entity is like very pleased with us and they want to show us love, we have to accept and love in is like the same love we give in our healing. So it's an exchange on a good note. I think that's about everything that I could think of as far as like what our requirements are for the place that we're standing. Respect, gratitude, all of it. I think that's about everything for expectations of a practitioner.